so in this video, I'm going to discuss classes in Java. Okay, again, OOP or Object-Oriented Programming was conceived to model real-world objects. In OOP, okay, a class defines the common variables and methods that are shared by all its objects. Okay, again, class defines the common variables and methods. So in a class, meron tayong variables, those are the attributes, and methods, those are the behaviors. Okay? So in this example, makikita nyo in this table, okay, ang class ko is my puppy, and this class has its attributes, yung name, breed, age, color. And the methods or the functions or the behaviors of this class, as you can see, barking, hungry, sleeping. Okay? So how will you code this in Java? So the next slide. Okay? As you can see, this is an example of syntax in Java in where I declare a class. And inside this class, nandito yung mga properties or variables niya and also the behavior or method. Okay? Public class puppy. And inside this class, ayan yung mga properties niya, yung variables niya, may name, breed, age, color. Tapos yung behavior, which are the methods, okay? Yan yung barking, hungry, sleeping. Again, a class is a blueprint from which individual objects are created. Ano ulit yung object? Object is the basic entity of object-oriented programming language. Yung class itself, wala yan ginagawa. Class itself does nothing. Okay? But the real functionality is achieved through their objects. So, kailangan nung class yung objects para mag-work yung class. Okay? Because object is an instance of the class, it takes the properties and uses the behavior defined in the class. Yung object yung makaagamit ng variables and methods. Okay? So, another, as you can see in the table, okay, on the left side, this side, alright, this side, okay, ito yung class with the attributes and the methods. Okay. So, yung class ko, I created an object, okay, which is, ito siya, yung puppy ko. Ito na yung object of this class, okay. So, tong object na to, ito na yung gagamitin ko to define or to put value on my attributes, okay. So, si puppy ko, ang name niya is tiger, breed, ayan, yung age and the color. And the methods, yan, yung barking, hungry, sleeping. Another example, okay? For example, ang class is student. Yan, student. Then, you have an object, okay? You created an object for your students. Diba, pagka may student ka na class, diba, may klase ka na student, okay? Hindi lang naman isa yung student mo. So, marami kang student. So, ibig sabihin, marami kang objects. Iba-iba yung pangalan ng student na yon. Okay? Iba-iba yung address ng student na yon, iba-iba yung age. Okay? And so forth and so forth. Mas naintindihan? So, ganun yung object. Okay? You have a class and you need to create for each of you need to create objects, okay? To define a specific name, specific attributes for that object. So, how do you create an object? What is the syntax in creating an object? Or what are the process or the step-by-step? Okay, basically, an object is created from a class. Okay, gumagamit tayo ng new keyword. Ayan, yung new keyword. Okay, so 3 steps when creating an object from a class. First, declaration. Then, instantiation. Then, initialization. In declaration, dito mo pinapakilala yung variable name. Okay, or dito mo, yan, i-declare yung variable name with an object type. Okay? Object type, if it is a string, or kung ito ba ay integer, or ito ba ay boolean. Instantiation, okay, ito na yung new keyword, okay? You use a new keyword to instantiate or to create the object. Yan, importante yung new keyword na yan. Then, initialization, okay, after the new keyword, okay, the new keyword is followed by a call to a constructor. This call initializes the new object. Okay. So, paano yun? Example, syntax. Okay, creating an object. Again, the step-by-step is declaration, instantiation, tapos initialization. Right. So, ito yung actual syntax. Okay, to create an instance of a class, or what you call an object, you need to use constructor and the new keyword. Okay. So, first, okay, the class name. Yan. Gagamitin mo yung class name. So, ito yung gagamitan natin na pagde-declare. Yan. Ito yung class natin. Tapos, gagawa tayo ng object, which is si puppy ko. Ang class name natin is my puppy. Okay, so let's back to slide. Okay, let's go to the slide in creating an object. So, first is, sulat mo yung class name. Then, the object name, or the instance of the class my puppy. So, my puppy ko yung nakalagay doon sa table kanina. Okay? Object name is user defined. Kayo ang magpapangalan yan. Then, the equal and the new operator. Tapos, yung constructor. Okay? Ang constructor, it is same as the class name. Ang difference lang niya is when we say constructor, that is a method. So, dapat meron siyang open and close parenthesis. Okay? So, ulitin ko lang this is the syntax in creating an object. First, you write the class name. Okay? Kung ano yung class name ng paggagawan mo. Then, space. Okay? Then, the object name, which is in this example, puppy ko. Okay? The, object name is an user-defined. Kayo ang magpapangalan yan. Okay? Kayo ang bahala. Equal to new operator. Tapos, yung constructor, which is the same name as your class name. Ang difference lang, constructor is a method, kaya dapat meron siyang open and close parenthesis. Okay? So, another example. Example, yung student kanina. So, my student, ang class name ko, tapos magkikreate ako ng object name for one of my student. For example, info ni Juan. Okay? So, ang object name ko is Juan info equal to new my students. Okay? Kung ang gagawin ko naman ng object is info ni Wally, okay? So, my student, tapos Wally info equal to new my student. So, ganun siya. Okay? So, when an object is declared, it will contain all attributes that your class has and can use all the methods of the class. Okay, may inherit niya yun, di ba? Okay. So, constructor. Yan. When discussing about classes, one of the most important subtopic would be constructors. Okay. Every class has a constructor. If we do not explicitly write a constructor for a class, the Java compiler builds a default constructor for that class. Okay. Laging merong default constructor sa lahat ng class. Each time a new object is created, at least one constructor will be invoked. The main rule of constructor is that they should have the same name as the class. A class can have more than one constructor. Example, yan. Ito yung class natin, si Papi. Then, this is the constructor 1, this is the constructor 2. Diba? Pwede ka nang magkaroon ng as many constructor as you want. Okay? Pero at this one, meron na yan default. Ito yun. Ito yung si constructor 1, ito yung default. Paano natin malalaman na default? Ito yung default because this constructor doesn't have a parameter. Okay? Yun yung default constructor. Walang parameter, meaning walang nasa loob dito sa open and close parenthesis. Dito sa constructor 2, this is a constructor, another constructor for this class. Okay? Yan. Meron siyang parameters, string name. Okay? So, you can create another constructor. Ang kailangan lang i-check is dapat iba yung nasa loob ng parameter. Okay? So, you can have another constructor. Again, what is constructor? Constructor is the same name as your class name. Diba? Difference lang yan is meron siyang open and close parenthesis in where you can put the parameter inside. Kasi nga, method yan. Okay? Constructor is a method that has the same name as your class name. That's it. Again, automatic, laging merong at least one constructor. Kahit hindi ka mag-create, automatic, eto, existing na yan. Kahit hindi mo siya i-code. Kasi, may invoke na yan automatically once you created a class. Yung kanyang default constructor, which is the same name without the parameter. Alright? So, let's move to our next slide. Okay, the constructor in the new keyword. Every class, ito yung mga kailangan tandaan. Every class has at least one of its own constructor. Okay? Constructor creates an instance for the class. Kaya siya kailangan kasi siya yung mag-create ng instance for the class or what we call the object. Constructor initiates or initialize something related to the class methods. Constructor is the method which name is the same to the class, but there are many different between the method function and the constructor. The new keyword is used to create an instance of a class. It allocates space for a new instance and calls the class constructor which initializes the variable of the object. Alright. So that's how you create constructor in new keyword. Alright. So in the next video, I'll be discussing on how to create methods.